didn't ask for any notes of mine for this sermon. Considering my very loud personality, you never know what's going to happen. But anyway, so thank you all for coming. This is my first sermon in a long time. And I got 14 pages of notes. So this should last at least like 8 minutes. 8. That time did. It was good. Anyway, we're going to have a good time. So, as he said, so we started Sportsman Church, started coming here about 3 years ago. Really the draw to me to come to Sportsman Church was not the music. It was the fact that they enjoyed hunting and killing things. And so I was like, that's church for me. So I started coming. And so I personally, I love bow hunting, okay? We got any hunters out there? All right. Any bow hunters? Real hunters? Okay, there we go. Oh yeah, you're gonna love this one. So anyway, I love bow hunting, and so just a couple of quick little interesting facts in the Bible. So the Bible has a lot of verses linking to archery. So arrow is mentioned 57 times in 53 verses. The word bow is mentioned 70 times in 66 verses. And the word quiver, which is not what your lip does, it's the thing that you put your arrows in. Quiver is mentioned 7 times in 7 verses. Gun is mentioned 0 times in the Bible. So if you're going to go hunting, if you're going to enjoy this sport, you should go bow hunting. It's like biblically sponsored. It's the only one. Right? I think I lost half of them already. That's all right. So when I first started bow hunting about 7 years ago, one of the coolest things that I learned was the term sin. Okay, the actually Greek definition of sin was missing the mark, and so I was like, you could do a lot with that in a sermon. So I actually wrote one. But before we go there, I have a very interesting introduction into bow hunting. It's a totally real story. You're not going to believe me when I tell you. But it links into the sermon. So I'm going to tell you how it all started. A long time ago, about 7 years ago, I was a firefighter in Edna, Texas. That way. It's about this big. Anyway, so it was October 29th. Okay? I was a gun hunter, just like most of you before you matured. And anyway, so it was October 29th. And I so desperately wanted to hunt. Okay? The day started, gun season started September 1st. And so I had to wait like 2 days. I was like, I just can't do it anymore. And so I was online on the computer looking for a bow. I was like, I don't know nothing about bow hunting, but I'm going to find a bow. I got to figure something out. And my partner at the fire department, he was looking over my shoulder, and he asked me, what are you doing? I said, I told him the story. I need to go hunt. This has to happen. I need to find a bow. Can you help me? He was like, yeah, I got this bow under my bed. My great uncle gave it to me. Fantastic, let's go. And so we go to his house, and he goes digging under his bed. It takes him a while, and then he pulls it out and wipes all the cobwebs off. It's like the first Fred Bear bow ever invented. Okay, it's a compound bow, so it's got the pulleys and the cams, and the cams are like this big. It was like the first one ever made. It was awesome, but before we go there, I didn't know nothing about bow hunting, nothing about archery, and so I'm holding this bow. I'm like, this is perfect. But all it really had, in retrospect, was just a cheap screw-in arrow rest. That's it. There was no sight. There was nothing. But I didn't know any better, so I'm like, all right, I got the bow. What's next? Arrows. So I shoot the academy, and now, so mind you, this is the next day. This is October 30th. Okay, I've got one more day to hunt. So I'm at academy. I'm like, okay, I'm a firefighter, so I'm on a budget. So I've got to get some cheap arrows. Okay, got to get some real big boy arrows. So I'm looking. A 3-pack. A 3-pack of big fat aluminum arrows. Got it. Okay, so then you got to have your broadheads, right? So I'll go around to the broadhead section, and I get the cheapest Allen. A lot of you guys know the brand Allen. Cheapest Allen broadheads. It was like $6 for $1. It was awesome. So I go home with my awesome archery equipment, and I've got to make sure that I can hit target, right? Because tomorrow's a big day. So I get this little box. It's about this big. And I throw it in my backyard, 8 yards, That's how far I set it, 8 yards. That's 24 feet, So I knock in my first arrow, first introduction into archery, first shot ever. Pull back, arrow shoots, I lose it in the grass. I can't find it. I spent 15 minutes. It's gone. I don't know what ate it. 2 arrows. I'm down to 2 arrows. I'm like, it's okay. I got this. All I really need is 1, right? I just got 2. So knock the second arrow. All right. It's time to really get serious. All right. This time I'm going to wait, pull back. Gets off in the grass again. I find it, but this one's missing all the fletchings now. It's ruined. It's getting serious. I've got 1 arrow. And I can't go back to Victoria, to Academy. Now, that's all I got. So, all right. Desperate times. So I bring the box to 8 feet. Okay? And I get the arrow knocked, and I said, all right, if I can hit that box 1 time, I'm done. I'm locking it in, I'm loading the truck, and we're just going to wait till tomorrow morning. I pull back, hit the box, done! Put it in the truck. So we're loaded up, and of course I don't sleep that night. This is the good part. Okay, so I get in my truck, go to the deer lease, and so I get to my deer stand, which is, again, I know nothing about archery, very little about hunting at this point. It's literally a pallet in an open tree. You can see me for miles. Okay? I didn't know what I was doing. But I was sitting there and I was going to be like the bow hunting ninja. Okay, so I sat in my seat, real still. It was like 5 o'clock. I waited there for 3 hours. I didn't see anything.
They saw you.
Yes, they probably saw me. And then it clicked. I was like, you are a big dummy. You're an idiot. You think you can just pick up this bow and trot out to the forest and kill an awesome buck. You're a moron. And so I was like, you know what? You're right, self. So I told myself, I was like, I'm done. I'm just going to go home and drink coffee and sulk. So I turned around, and I'm going down the ladder. I got down 2 steps, and I look up. There's doe. I'm like, oh, this could happen. So I put the knock really slow. And got to about here. I was like, all right, if I pull back, she's going to see me, and then it's over. Like, but she's still moving. I have to do something. So I pulled back, and she looked at me. She goes, dude, you're in a pallet in a tree. And she's gone. I was like, oh my gosh, I feel like a bigger idiot now. I'm like, oh, God, you were having mercy on me. You gave me 1 shot, and I just couldn't pull it off. Oh, I was so frustrated. So I was like, all right, that's it. I'm not going to hunt anymore ever again. So I go down 1 more step, I look up. Antlers. 8-point. Big one. And he's off 40 yards. He's coming this way. He was trailing a doe. And so, like, okay. At this point, it's on now. My heart is about to explode. Okay, so I get my arrow knocked, and I got tall enough where I could pull back. Like, he's 40 yards away, but I'm not going to chance it. So I pull back, and I'm holding it. Of course, now he starts taking his time, right? So by the time he gets there, I'm doing this where every muscle in my body is shaking. And finally, he gets there, and again, I have no idea what I'm doing. And finally, he gets to like right in front of me. And I gotta make him stop. I don't know what I'm doing. So I don't know what happened. I don't know what made me do this, but I barked like a dog. And that buck went. Dogs aren't supposed to be in trees. But he stopped. And so I let go. I closed my eyes. I didn't even look. I just let go. And that's bam! All I heard was that open my eyes. I didn't see anything. I was like, I must have missed. Then I looked down. I had spined that 8-point buck. Game over. Didn't move 1 inch. It was done. And so I killed the buck. I loaded him in the truck, and I take him back to town because I had to give that bow back. Right, it's not mine. This is like worth a whole $8. And I went and showed my partner, and I said, dude, here's your bow back. Look what I shot. He was like, there ain't no way, dude. I gave that to you as a joke. I thought it was going to explode in your hands. He still doesn't believe me to this day. Anyway, so that was my introduction to bow hunting. So, of course, I'm absolutely hooked. Thank you. Have a good night. I actually have some biblical ties to that. So, anyway, going back. So I'm going to ask you one more time. So the definition of sin means what? Missing the mark. Man, we're listening. Oh, all right. So there are several reasons that we miss the mark. Okay, there's several reasons that we sin. Okay, and they're all tied to archery, believe it or not. So the first one is bad or missing equipment. We're going to go over that, trust me. Size of the target and distance from the target. So we're going to go over missing equipment. So on your bow, right, on a good bow, you're supposed to have what we call sights, right? Everybody knows what a sight is? It's kind of like a scope on a gun kind of deal. But on a bow, you have to line up a peep sight, which is located on your string. So when you pull back, you got to look through this peep sight right here. You've got to align that peep sight with the pin, depending on how far your target is, and you've got to put your target on the other side. So you've got to line up 3 things in order to make sure that your arrow gets to that target. And any variance in any one of those, you miss, right? So I started thinking about that, and God laid this verse on my heart. It's Hebrews 12, 1 and 2. It says, "Therefore, since we are surrounded by a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles, and let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us, fixing our eyes on Jesus, the pioneer and perfecter of our faith." And so I started thinking about that in the sights, the different things that you have to have perfectly aligned in order to really hit your target. It's like, we have different parts and aspects of our lives, right? We have home self, we have work self, and we have church self, and we have all the other selves, right? And I find myself, I'm saying that a lot, like at work, sometimes my vocabulary is not the same vocabulary that I use with my son, right? Sometimes my attitude is different at work than it is when I'm playing. Sometimes my sights, my goals are different depending on where I am. But you see, if we're going to consistently hit that mark and hit the target, we've got to make sure that all of our aspects of our lives, our home life, our work life, our play life, are looking at one thing, end game, right? The target. That's Jesus. That's living a righteous life. We've got to have that. We've got to have that in line. It's difficult. So I ask, what do you have in your sights? So next we're going to go to arrows. This one is freaking awesome. So, of course, you need arrows to hit your target, right? You have to. Otherwise, you're just throwing a bow, and good luck with that one. But so for arrows, and I've had experience with this, you've got to make sure that your arrows are strong. You've got to make sure that they're true and that they're straight, and you've got to make sure that they're sharp. Because if they're not straight, they will actually, when you shoot them, they'll wobble off, and there's no telling where your arrow's going to go. Kind of like that aluminum one that shot off, and I still have not found that arrow. And you've got to make sure that your arrow is strong. Because oftentimes when you're shooting through a target, you wear the target out, you'll shoot through it or shoot through an animal and it'll hit a rock. And of course, hit a rock, they're probably going to break if they're not strong, right? So you got to make sure they're strong. And of course, you got to make sure they're sharp. Because if you don't shoot a sharp arrow, you're going to be walking home a loser. Okay, it's not going to work. So I started thinking about the arrows. And I came up with the most awesome verse. Psalm 127, 4-5. It says, "Like arrows in the hands of a warrior are children born in one's youth. Blessed is the man whose quiver is," not the quiver this way, but the quiver, "is full of them. They will not be put to shame when they contend with their opponents in court." Okay, so your kids, your family, is your arrow. Has anybody ever seen Rambo 2? A little bit of random, right? Rambo 2. Not the Rambo 1 where he's out in the mountain and he's got a knife, but the Rambo 2 when he's got every gun known to man, okay? You ever notice in those movies like that they never run out of ammo? They kill everybody, all the bad guys, and then not once stop to reload, right? That's ridiculous. I'm more of a die-hard guy. He stops, he runs out of ammo, he's got one, super bullet that, does circles and stuff. But anyway, eventually, in a real movie, with the realistic movie with the ammo, the guy runs out of bullets, right? And oftentimes he finds himself surrounded by bad guys that have plenty of bullets. Sorry. Scared that one. Anyway, so often, especially men, and I can only speak from a man's point of view because I am the only man, but often men, we're the spiritual leaders in our homes. We provide for our families. Oftentimes we're not perfect. Oftentimes we're not perfect. Sometimes we fall short. Sometimes we say the wrong thing. Sometimes we just run out of gas. Spiritually, we just can't manage to do the right things. Sometimes we find ourselves really low, really lost. That's when we're out of ammo. That's when our quiver is empty. But if you have family, if you have sons and daughters, if you have a wife or husband, if you're a woman, if you have family that loves Christ and is walking this journey with you, guess what? That's your reload. That's when you can get back up and keep fighting. There are times that we're going to find ourselves so far from where we're supposed to be, and we're so lost we can't get back. That's when our family steps in and brings us back. So next is the size of the target. So I've been shooting for 7 years, right? Shooting a bow, and I've gotten pretty good. So the size of my target is pretty small. I get kind of nervous when I'm getting ready for a hunt. Actually, we're going on a hunt. Where's TJ? There he is. We're going on a hunt in a couple weeks. We're going to go kill some rams. Not hunt, we're going to kill some rams. Anyway, so I'm getting ready. I have a small target in my backyard, and I get a little nervous because, see, I put that target right in front of that yappy dog on the other side of the fence. Really hoping it doesn't go through. I'm just kidding. I don't really do that. Not anymore. He's done. Anyway, so my target is pretty small, right? Because I've been doing it for a while. Whenever I get Gideon into real bow hunting, I'm not going to get him a small target. I'm going to get him, well, probably the broadside of a barn, making sure he can hit it, right? See, in our daily lives, in our Christian spiritual lives, oftentimes we look at Christianity, we look at that walk with God, something unattainable. I have to be perfect in order to be a Christian. Just give me a little while. Just wait. I'm not ready yet. I still got things to work on. See, back a long time ago in the Hebrew Bible, the Old Testament, they had like 600 different laws that God had given them. And they had to complete these laws and obey them in order to keep God's favor. Right? It was impossible. It was impossible. But see, Jesus came, he was born, and he died for you. And that grace that he gives you makes that Christianity, that goal, possible. You see, it'd be like trying to shoot a grain of rice in your backyard at 1,000 yards. Okay? Without that grace, it's not possible. But since Jesus cares about us, since he loves us, he makes that Christianity, he makes that relationship with him all the more possible, all the more real. So, next, and final, is the distance from the target. I don't know if you remember my story. I tried to make it very memorable, as it was to me. But after the first and second arrow were lost, it got real, right? That's when all the chips are down. If I don't make this arrow, if I lose this arrow, I'm done. The hunt's over, and there's no more hope. So what did I do? Y'all remember? I brought it 8 feet. That's right. It's kind of shameful. I offered my man card on that one. That's right. So sometimes when we're lost, when we're done, when we're out of hope, and I've been there a lot. When it seems like there's no more chances, and it seems like everybody else is done with you. Sometimes the only thing you can do is get closer to the target. You can't rely on your sights anymore. You can't rely on your equipment. You can't rely on the size of the target. Sometimes you just gotta move it closer. You see, even the greatest bow hunter and the greatest archer, they miss sometimes. I am not the greatest archer, and I am not the greatest bow hunter. But my son right there, he could hit a target if you put it this close from him. Right? So could you. And that's what we need to do sometimes with our relationship with God. We need to get serious. When we're hopeless, when we got nothing left, we just need to bring ourselves closer to him. We need to dig in his word. And so, I don't know how many minutes that was. It was close. But So as I was kind of wrapping this up, I'm Dylan, Will, whenever you're ready. As I was wrapping this up and going through the different experiences in my life, there was a lot of people, even some within this church, Steve, that really helped me out, helped me find my way. And if anybody here is lost, is in need of direction, there are guys everywhere, guys in the back, even some girls. And don't wait. Don't leave this place guessing. Don't leave this place with the right equipment. And don't leave this place the same.